He is born in a wooden room that smells of salt and smoke, legs limp as wet rope, bones bending where bones should hold. Midwives whisper the words that make men look at the floor. Malformed, cursed, winter-doomed, until Ragnar Lothbrok steps through the door, and the air changes temperature. He lifts the child as if the boy were a blade he's testing. The baby does not cry. Two blue eyes pin Ragnar as though weighing him. The name that sticks is a taunt sharpened into an oath. Ivar the Boneless. 22 breaks before he is 10. A tally the gods seem eager to raise. While his brothers grow like oak and wolf, Björn's shoulders hardening to stone, Hvitserk running the ridgelines, Sigurd threading shafts through bark. He grows without rising. His world is floor level, then firelight, then the ceiling beams where ravens perch in the mind. He crawls over gravel until his palms bleed, learns to pull himself faster than other boys can trot, and builds a torso like a battering ram to compensate for the treachery below the waist. Pain arrives early and never leaves, so he teaches it manners and puts it to work. What the others hone with steel, he sharpens with story. He memorizes skaldic lines, trade routes, horn calls, how a shield wall sings when it's sound and how it falls apart when it isn't. He catalogues chieftains and grudges, priests and their silver, tides by moon and the weak hinge in a strong gate. He watches faces until faces explain themselves. Pride like a swollen joint, envy like a fever, fear like frost at the edges of the eyes. Words become tools, then weapons. He can strip a warrior in public without unsheathing iron, laying bare the insecurity men thought even their wives had not seen. Ragnar studies the boy the way a shipwright studies grain, for stress lines, for hidden strength. He understands what others miss. This child will never run first, but he may be the last to stop. Ivar keeps accounts of what's possible and of what's merely customary. He distrusts custom. He learns to hate the mercy of a world that tried to discard him, and to love the leverage a mind can generate when a body cannot. By 11, he can plot a raid as if playing taffel with real pieces, eyes moving slower than his thoughts. He asks practical questions that sound like blasphemy to men who confuse habit with fate. When the hall goes quiet, it is because silence has begun to walk with him. The insult has become a signature, the weakness, an angle of attack. Something new is assembling behind those eyes. Cold arithmetic wrapped in a boy's face, ready to be weaponized. The challenge is set beneath shield-bright rafters. Plan the next strike on a Northumbrian monastery, and the best plan leads beside Ragnar. Brothers offer respectable violence. Rams at dawn, ladders at dusk. A hunger siege to make saints eat dirt. Ivar says no. We won't attack. We will bait. The hall flinches. He describes castaway whispers seated in village ears. 20 survivors on a beach with bad luck and good acting. Piety will march out with chains. Piety will not march back. The monastery's teeth will be elsewhere when we bite. Objections arrive. How does a boy who cannot walk lead anything? Ragnar answers with a command that sounds like an invention. Build him a moving shield, a chariot pressed flat, iron-rimmed wheels, a seat furred and high, 4 ropes to 4 men who will be his legs. The forge house hammers until the night itself rings. The result is brutal craft. A round platform the size of a table, hide over oak, cross-banded iron, anchor loops like clenched hands. Ivar tests it on the training ground. Left, right, halt. He calibrates with finger flicks and short words. The team learns his grammar, becomes a single animal. He orders weapons to match the geometry. Long-hafted spears, throwing axes that fly flat. A short composite bow for seated murder. The beach is a stage. 20 Vikings warm their hands over a fire and pretend to be afraid. The abbey sends 40 guards and prayer-heavy monks with chains and sermons. The forest opens its throat. 200 step out, and the sound is not a shout, but a tearing of certainty, of formation, of the afternoon itself. In minutes, the surf is full of men who chose the water over iron and learned the sea is the harsher god. While that short lesson concludes, the second act begins. Ivar's cart rolls towards stone that thought itself safe. The gates are stout, but not war-born. A log finds the seam and insists. The fourth blow makes the world cough splinters. The courtyard becomes a bowl for noise, boots, breath, brass. The monks are sorted with a warehouseman's clarity, young and taught, spared for markets, old and spent, given clean endings. Ivar does not gloat. He inventories, chalices, bones in silver, illuminated skins that took lifetimes to paint, and in the library, maps, veins of a kingdom inked by the kingdom itself. Those are worth more than gold, because they tell you where the gold sleeps. By the third day, the place answers to him. Rations are tallied, watch rotations fixed, wine stored where hands can't find it at night. Ragnar arrives to see his son sitting in the abbot's chair, plunder ranked by value and volume, questions answered before they're asked. The cart was a solution, the trap was a thesis. The boy who cannot stand has taught the island to kneel. Years harden the legend. Raids turn to campaigns, and the name Ivar travels faster than his ships. Then Ragnar, older and hunted by his own hunger for one last blaze, sails thin into Wessex and vanishes into Saxon hands. A ring comes home without the man. Envoys arrive wearing triumph like perfume, swear peace, free your Saxon slaves, and the king will release him, otherwise the pit of serpents awaits. The hall roars for blood, neon with rage. Ivar lifts a hand and quiet falls like snowfall. He says, yes. He says, they accept. He performs surrender with the exactness of a ritual. Oaths on rings, freed captives sent home like rumors with legs, gifts dispatched to Ayla that say, we are tamed. Brothers call it betrayal, warriors call it shame. Ivar calls it math. Ragnar is already dead. The only lever left is the angle of his death. If you cannot save a man, you can choose what his ending purchases. He chooses a continent. The theater is meticulous. While the Saxons celebrate the taming of wolves, Ivar's messengers crisscross Scandinavia with the true story. The greatest raider fed to vipers while a Christian court smirked. Fury is a language with few dialects. Everyone understands it. Halls that had quarreled for a century empty toward Kattegat. Yards filled with dragon prows from every fjord. The council that gathers could have killed itself on old grudges. Ivar prevents it by refusing the crown and inventing something sturdier for men allergic to masters. A rotating command, strategy by vote, absolute authority in the day's battle for the day's chosen leader. Pride appeased, ambition harnessed, the machine clicks into alignment. Preparation becomes a form of worship. The smithy turns to thunder. Shipwrights sew together forests and wind. Women stitch sails the size of fields. Ivar audits everything. Iron quality, salt meat counts, the number of nails in each boarding plank. He interrogates a stream of Saxon mouths for water depths, garrison habits, distances between abbey and village. He redraws maps in his head and stores them like winter grain. What the Saxons read as retreat is compression. What looks like peace is the breath taken before the shout. News comes from across the sea. Ragnar is gone into the dark, singing or cursing depending on the chronicler, and laid without honor. The grief in the army acquires a point. Oaths are sworn with hands, still wet from the sacrificial bowl. 3 winters of war, minimum. 2 kingdoms taken, minimum. English earth will learn new laws or drink until it chokes. When the Great Heathen Army finally lifts its anchors, the horizon wears a crown of sails. The court that traded mercy for mockery will find it has purchased an avalanche. They land not like thieves, but like weather. 300 longships blotting the seam of sea and sky, camps blooming inland like fire. East Anglia's King Edmund is pious, mild, unprepared for a war that is not a negotiation. He sends gifts and tribute offers. Ivar receives him as a judge, receives a petitioner, and declines with clean syntax. We don't want your gold, we want your ground. Edmund scrapes an army from farms and prayer stools. At Thetford, a wall of Saxon shields waits, brave and thin. Björn carries the wedge like a door, battering its frame. The hinge breaks early. The line ripples, then opens. Men who wished for martyrdom find it efficiently. Edmund fights as if he believes heaven keeps a ledger. He is seized and dragged before Ivar on a nearby rise. The offer is simple and obscene to a saint. Live as a client king and spit out your creed, or die and be an example. Edmund chooses example with spit on Ivar's boots. Respect is extended, mercy is not. An axe writes the closing punctuation. His head is posted where the church can see it blink in the wind. East Anglia kneels within 3 weeks. Occupation is not an accident, but a policy. Storehouses are inventoried, tribute routes mapped, garrisons planted like orchards at river crossings and road forks. Families arrive from across the water with iron and whetstones, gods and goats. Administrators who've watched men burn cities learn to keep them and make them pay. The Danes stop being rumor and become institution. While halls are emptied of crosses and filled with carved beasts, Ivar pores over parchment, the monastery maps, amended by the mouths of captured reeves, tracing the nerve pathways north into Northumbria. The kingdom he cares about is the one that murdered his father and mistook that for an ending. They move when the ground softens, announcing themselves with the courtesy of inevitability. Villages flee toward York. York pulls its fear inward and raises ladders, digs wells, counts grain. Ivar halts his army a measured distance away and does nothing that looks like war for 7 days. Idle Vikings terrify better than attacking ones. On the 8th day, he requests a parley with King Aili. 2 leaders in an empty field, both watched, both exposed. The Saxon arrives plated and tall. Ivar arrives seated, smaller, immovable. He describes what will happen with the calm of a man reading weather. Your walls will fall, your people will be sold, and you will tour a pit that smells like snakes before you disappear into it. Bela bargains with gold he cannot carry and time he does not own. Ivar interrupts with a palm. This is not commerce. The siege begins at sunrise. Towers, rams, stones, dead cattle made into projectiles. Archers work until their fingers split. Hot fat sizzles on men who never scream. The Danes rotate and rest. The defenders don't. On the 21st day, a section of wall sighs and sits down. The city learns the vocabulary of street fighting. Corner, choke point, alley, mercy felt and denied. Alley is hauled from a tunnel that wasn't secret to the slaves who dug it. He meets the pit he invented for other men. Ivar watches without commentary while the old king learns what patience is. When the last convulsion ends, Ivar nods once. That was for Ragnar. The rest is for history. Northumbria cedes, and the army turns its eyes to Mercia, the fat midlands that feed kingdoms. King Bergred's first offense is preparation itself. Granaries emptied into fortified towns, mercenaries bought with foreign silver, Wessex riders contracted to stiffen lines. For the first time since landing, the Danes meet an enemy that understands time and distance. Skirmishes cost more than they should. The men sing less at night. Grumbles sprout like weeds in the council. Is Mercia worth the meat we're burning? Ivar answers with a threat that sounds like custom. Anyone may leave without penalty, except shame, which will live longer than their sons. No one steps back. Pride and fear are oxen on the same yoke. The decisive play forms at Repton, where the English gather to gamble everything on a single weight of steel. 10,000 Saxons against 8,000 Vikings. Numbers that looked worse in older years now feel almost fair. He gives Björn the ugliest job. Smash frontally, die in quantity, hold their eyes. Björn absorbs the calculus like a man tasting iron, and nods. Vitzerk ghosts a column through scrub and shadow, wraps the Saxon flank in a cloak of pine and silence. When the trap bites, it bites with ancient teeth. Pressure ahead, terror behind. The line becomes sausage in a butcher's hands. Wessex veterans try to knit order from screaming. Farmers pull loose and run. The ground becomes a map of red decisions. Burgred escapes with a fragment of crown and most of his honor discarded, fleeing south to a kingdom that still believes it can math this problem. Mercia folds not with a crash, but a long exhale. Holding is harder than taking. Ivar plants a puppet on a puppet throne and nails it down with hostage sons and tribute schedules. The Danes build not just camps, but places, earthworks, halls, markets where Saxon silver buys Norse iron and nobody asks theological questions. Winter is for administration. Men heal. Lists lengthen. The army that arrived as a storm learns to be weather. And somewhere in the quiet between patrols, another name begins to move behind the hedgerows. Alfred, a young Wessex prince who studies losses the way other men study relics. He invents lines of burrs, fortified beads on a string, that make advance feel like chewing granite. Ivar hears of him and smiles without warmth. At last, not a lion to be speared, but a fox to be trapped. He knows this next season will be something different. Not the satisfying arithmetic of force applied to weakness, but chess. The army sharpens axes and patience. Repton teaches the lesson that conquest must learn on schedule. Momentum buys doors. Administration keeps them from swinging back. Spring of 871 draws a boundary in dust. The Great Heathen Army faces a Wessex that refuses to die the ordinary English death. Alfred has rethreaded the south with forts and roads that can lift men like a hand lifts a knife. He has trained peasantry to hold walls until help arrives, and help arrives on roads that belong to him. He writes from defeat toward endurance, a language Ivar understands and intends to interrupt. They meet on an unnamed plain where both can see what matters. Open ground, no clever ravines to exploit, no rivers to drown in. Ivar does not love it, he respects it. You prove dominion by prevailing where tricks don't fit. He counsels as he always does. Read the wind, test the flanks, trade minutes for angles, and then signals what cannot be mistaken. Forward, 8,000 throats answer. Across the field, 8,000 more become a wall. The first collisions are textbook, then somebody tears the textbook. Wessex spears plant and hold. Danish shields ripple and absorb. Then the ripple returns as rip current. Hooks and axes worrying at shield edges, knees targeted, balance ruined. A wall turned into a set of doors, half open. Alfred's center bends, then refuses to break, anchored by officers who've watched Ivar's films before and edited accordingly. The fight becomes an argument in meat. Ivar's cart sits behind the press like a low throne. From it he sees patterns most commanders guess at, where dust rises too quick, panic, where it billows slow, steady push, where a small hill makes a big lie about numbers. He moves companies with a wrist, throws a reserve like a knife, replaces a torn flank with men who think of themselves as hinges. By noon, the field is an equation with too many variables. By afternoon, it is an altar. No miracle arrives. Only stubbornness does. Alfred bleeds without blinking, trades ground for time, then buys the ground back with time he banked in burrs. Ivar finds himself doing the thing he least enjoys, respecting an enemy in the middle of trying to erase him. He thinks of Ragnar, of Ayla's pit, of maps rolled into a leather tube from a monastery that prayed too slowly. He thinks of the wheel that brought him here, and the wheels on his cart that keep turning whether he wins or not. When dusk filters the dust into bruise-colored air, neither army has broken, but both have changed. Alfred has learned he can stand in the open. Ivar has learned this land can answer back if taught how. The Danes withdraw a measured distance to eat, count, speak quietly. Wessex limps behind stone and breathes through its teeth. The campaign is not ending. It is starting to tell the truth. Some victories take years to arrive, and some legends are built not on the day you crush a city, but on the long, grinding refusal to quit. Ivar watches the last light drain from the plain and does what he was born to do: calculate. The body was never the point. The will was. The island still has rooms to open. The boneless is patient, and patience is just hunger with a plan.